friends and Elm Street family. Today is Monday, May the 11th, and it's Miss Jo coming at you from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. I am here today to talk a little bit about brain growth and how it relates to growth mindset. So your amazing brain, this is the Big Life Journal resources again. Your amazing brain, it grows and changes. It's pretty cool because your brain is a bit like a muscle. And like if you wanted a muscle to grow big and strong, you would have to work it really frequently and do a lot of exercises. And your brain is exactly the same. Even though the brain is not a muscle, it's an organ, it works like a muscle in that way. So these are a few things that kind of explain how that happens. So neurons, that's a neuron right here. So when you were born, your brain came with neurons, which is a type of a tiny cell. And that is part of what makes up the brain. There's a bunch of different parts, but the neurons are tiny little cells. And then signals. So when you learn things, your brain sends signals or messages from one neuron to the other. So your neurons are all over your brain, and when you're learning, your brain is sending these signals to different neurons. And when it does that, it creates pathways. So if you do the same thing enough times, your brain eventually makes a connection or a pathway between neurons. This makes activities easier and you can do them better and better. So when you exercise your brain, things that were hard or difficult at one time, they become easier. So think about when you learned to ride your bike, you had to think about every single pedal, every single push. You had to think about every single thing that you did. And you had to think about trying to balance on your bike. But after you get really good at it, you don't even think about it. You just hop on and your body knows what to do. That's because it's a little bit like if you're walking in the forest and there's a brand new, you can kind of see a little path there, but mostly it's overgrown, and paths get overgrown because they're not used. So that's the same way. A path in your brain, if it's not used, it gets overgrown, and the neurons, they don't send those messages to each other, and the thing that you are trying to do is really, really hard. But if you keep walking that path, eventually you'll break through and you'll make a path that's really easy to see. Think about if you're walking in the woods and you see a really wide open path because it's been used a lot and it's super easy. Nothing hits you in the face along the way. There's no branches smacking at you because everyone has gone through that and made a big path. And just like you can do in your brain, by practicing things, you can make a really clear path so that things that you find hard right now will be super easy. I think about knitting. Miss Jo likes to knit, but I'm still a beginner knitter. And when I first started, every single part of it seemed really frustrating. But I really wanted to be able to knit, so I kept trying and I kept working on it. And now I can knit and watch television and not even really think about what I'm doing. And that seems pretty cool. I still haven't learned yet how to make those bracelets, but I am going to do it, and you will see a video of it. I just didn't get an opportunity yet, but it's a yet. I will learn it. All right, so having a growth mindset, and again, this is Big Life Journal, having that growth mindset, it means focusing on your own progress and your personal best rather than comparing yourself to others. So I often hear kids say, well, I'll never be as good as that kid over there. And that really doesn't matter. Everybody's an individual. We're good at different things. We all have gifts, things that come easy to us, and we all have challenges, things that don't come easy to us. And we usually have more challenges than gifts. So if you see somebody and they're really good at something you'd like to be good at, what you don't see is all the hard work and the time that they put into becoming good at that. You just kind of think, oh, they just tried it once like me and they're really good at it. But that's really not how it goes. And people don't see other people's work and effort. But that doesn't really matter because the only person you need to compare yourself to is you. And so if you look at, well, how was that for me last week? Oh, it was harder last week. I practiced, I worked on it. This week it's not as bad. It's still hard, but not as bad. Maybe in a few more weeks, if you keep practicing, it'll be like, whoa, I can't believe that was ever hard. That's totally easy. So all of us have different paths to achieving our goals. You might have slow progress. You might have a helpful person along the way, someone who gives you a hand. Somebody else, they might have some extra resources. There might be one difficult barrier there, but maybe maybe they can get through it a little faster than you. But you both reach the goal. And so you notice that paths are different, and we don't need to compare our path to anyone else's. We all have our own lives and our own separate path, and that's all we need to worry about is ourselves. Because when we compare ourselves to other people, then we start to lose faith and we start to feel bad if we're not as good as someone else, when you don't need to do that. Everyone's different. So there's no point in comparing yourself to others. Focus on your progress and your path. And that's basically it for today. There's one other picture here. This is something you can draw if you're not able to get an access to the Big Life Journal or print it. So one goal, different paths. So that there's two climbers here. So you can use this and talk to someone in your family about something that maybe you find hard and they found easy, or something that they found easier and you found hard, and how you learned it. So you can talk a little bit about that and see, oh, we both know how to do the same thing. Maybe it's reading, but maybe for one of you, it was a different path than the other person. Maybe you learned at a different time. And so this is just one way to talk about it. Or you can say two different things, like something that each path is for you. One is something you found easy, and one is something you found super difficult. All right. So that's it for today, and I will be back tomorrow to talk to you more about growth mindset and how we help to have a growth mindset, because that might not come easily either. You might have to work at getting a growth mindset. I know I certainly did. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.